Hi, everybody. Welcome back to Word Balloon, the comic book conversation show. This is John Suntress, and welcome to the first of many Stargirl episode reviews of Season 1. We're going to be talking to Geoff Johns, the creator of Stargirl, both the comic book and the television show. I hope you're all enjoying it on the CW. Geoff will be giving great observations of what's going on with Stargirl, and we're going to be talking about the pilot and Stripe in today's conversation. And then next week, we'll have episode 3 and so on. So I hope you enjoy it. Happy to present these conversations with Geoff Johns on Word Balloon. If you enjoy them, make sure you hit the subscribe button and the like button and share and let all your friends know. And if you can help us out on Patreon, patreon.com/wordballoon, that would be great. Thanks a lot for watching. Welcome back, Geoff Johns. It's great to see you. And man, congratulations. We were just off the air talking about the wonderful reception to episode 1.
Oh, it's been awesome. Thanks for having me back, John. It was so fun to catch up last time. It's like, let's do it again. It's been so fun, and everyone works so hard on the show. To see people start to enjoy it, I can't wait to be able to see the next episodes, as you've already seen. It's really exciting, and I'm just happy that people are enjoying the show so far. It's cool. It's really cool, really special.
Well, and honestly, Geoff, the show is consistent with the other CW and DC Universe shows. It has its own voice, though. And as I was telling you off the air, I really love this all ages balance because it absolutely is a great show for kids. And I think kids are being psyched by watching it. But it's a blast for, an old fart like me that really appreciates the DC Universe.
Me too.
And also the adults are great. Well,
yeah. I mean, it's like we talked about last time. I think one of the things that we really tried to do, everyone tried to do, and James Robinson was on the writing staff, producer on it too, a big, huge friend of mine forever. And we would talk a lot about this because we're such hardcore fans. Is that we wanted to it's a show for everyone, but also doing the JSA. There's it's tricky because you want hardcore fans like myself and James and you to also really see the comics and the characters that you love in the show. It's got to be for we wanted to make a show that new fans and old fans could really get behind it and enjoy and see what they love about the characters. And we have so many more surprises for the hardcore fans. But that it helps that we have 2 generations of characters. We have, Pat and Barbara and the parents essentially, and we have the kids with the new upcoming kids, the new generation, and that helps balance it out. The JSA has always been about generations to me. In the modern era, it's about generations, and that's what the show's about too. So I'm hoping that it can capture generations. It's meant, I think, it's really meant for both generations to watch together, for families to watch together, and so far so good.
I do want to say a couple things about the first episode. I love at the drive-in, because we talked about a lot in our first conversation about the show in general, but obviously, too, focusing a lot on that first episode. But at the drive-in, I love that they're watching the Goonies.
Yeah, I had to. Yeah. I had to put the Goonies in there. Couldn't put Superman in there. It'd be a little too weird, but the Goonies, yeah. It was fun. That drive-in, I think, plays retro movies. And I love when you hear one of the kids, his name's Josh, in the car. Yeah, it's a classic. It is a classic, but it was fun. It was fun. And again, because the show is more influenced by Back to the Future and E.T. and things like that, but Goonies is in that mix too, and that was something that felt right up there on the screen.
Well, and also we get this first confrontation between Henry King. Is Henry, because he's Brainwave Jr. He is Henry
King Jr. Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. So and so that kind of establishes likely things to come. But we also get this first confrontation with Brainwave. We saw the fall of the Justice Society in the first episode.
Yes.
And we really get a sense of not only the heroes and what they represented, but also the Rogues Gallery, the Injustice Society, and we really do see glimpses of likely threats to come in subsequent episodes.
Yeah, I mean, it's really a serialized show. It's 13 episodes, 13 hours. When we broke it out, we made it, okay, let's do a 13-hour Stargirl in the JSA movie. What would that look like? And so we don't have one-off episodes. All the episodes build on each other, and some are more focused on a storyline or character, but they're really one big story, and you do get to know. It was a very conscious choice to, as you'll see in upcoming episodes, to introduce the characters slowly. Like, not, you don't need to spend one scene on everybody in every episode. There's episodes that some characters don't appear in, just because of the story design. So, but I'm excited for people to meet more of the ISA and get to know them, and meet more of the JSA and get to know them. It'll be fun to talk about the subsequent episodes past two, because one and two are like a part 1, part 2 pilot.
Sure.
That's how we designed it.
Understood, and that's kind of why I'm talking a little bit about episode 1 before we get into the details of episode 2. Solomon Grundy looked great, and now is that CGI or actually I saw a Ferrigno in the cast, so clearly there must be a Ferrigno in there somewhere.
Well, Lou Ferrigno Jr. plays our man Rex Tyler.
Oh my God! I didn't even realize.
Yeah,
wow.
And you'll see him again in a flashback in an upcoming episode that you've already seen, but people haven't yet. But yeah, it was important to have even legacy on all angles, like from everything that influenced it, like to like it's just cool to have like a legacy, like, and Lou was great, but he's a legacy of his dad, and he can be his own hero, and that was just kind of interesting and special, and he's a fantastic actor. It just made sense.
Absolutely. We will have a subsequent conversation about Rick Tyler as it gets closer, and I really do love his characterization. But then back to my original question then about Grundy. So Grundy CGI?
100% CG, designed by Zoic, our VFX house, and Andrew Orloff, who co-founded it and runs it. He oversaw it, and the team killed it. You'll see more of Solomon Grundy, but he's pretty amazing. We really wanted to go as much as we could embrace the comic book lore of it all, the comic book, the visuals and the characters, and really present it as best we could without doing like panel to panel reproductions. We're trying to be as on point as we can.
Understood. Well, and then when the family moves to Blue Valley, we spoke about this in a previous episode. I like too a character that you introduced that obviously is going to be some sort of foil, maybe not, I don't know, for Pat, and that's the guy at the gym. Is it Crusher? Crusher, right?
Yeah, Crusher. Yeah.
Okay.
Crusher.
Well, and I'm thinking Crusher Creel, of course, but that's the other company.
Yeah,
so
no,
I
that's
don't know.
Crusher Kruk.
Crusher Kruk. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Is this a
Kruk.
DC?
Yeah.
Crusher Kruk. Is he a previous DC Universe character?
Oh, yeah, Sportsmaster. He's been around a long, long time.
Oh my God! I didn't even think that was the Sportsmaster.
Yeah, I mean,
that's exciting, Geoff. It's
kind of a spoiler now, but I feel like people who are watching this, like, they know this stuff already, but you didn't, so maybe I just spoiled something.
I remember what you and also what James has done with Sportsmaster in the past, and when you think of things like, God, that great scene in the Golden Age, where poor Sportsmaster is so desperate. And everything. So I didn't even think to put 2 and 2 together that he's the Sportsmaster. That's fantastic.
Yeah. I love Sportsmaster. He's such a great character. And Neil Hopkins just does a great job of him. He's so funny and scary when you see him. But that's for later.
Understood. No, it's all good, man. All right, that's cool. And I love Pat's Garage. Well, and also, okay, so we've got, we get a sense of the high school, what's happening at the high school. The American Dream is a very important part of the story. And also I love initially too that, Courtney is really like, okay, I'm stuck in Blue Valley. I'm going to do the best I can to kind of assimilate to the new world and everything, of Blue Valley. But also, she gets to school and it's like, hey, all the after school things that she would have been into, they've all been canceled by the American Dream. Right. Yeah.
I mean, she's into gymnastics. She did that in Valley Village, California. It doesn't exist in Blue Valley anymore. So she's struggling in that first episode. She's struggling just to connect to people. That's, and Courtney's somebody that does connect pretty easily to people, because she's not judgmental at all, except maybe when it comes to Pat, but everything else, she's pretty open-minded. The thing that I like is that we introduced some kind of, I guess, like, tropes, like the school bully, but there's such this story is so, I think, surprising. I can't wait for people to see how that develops.
And the nerd lunch table. and
Oh yeah,
the introduction of
yeah,
Yolanda and Beth Chapel, and
yeah, yeah.
pretty cool. And is Rick at the table as well?
Well, I don't want to totally spoil everything, but yeah,
Well, we're talking about the first episode, so
yes,
I don't.
he
I
is
mean,
at that table.
okay, all right, yeah. Neil, forgive me, yeah, because I we'll get to episode 2, but I wanted to talk a little bit
Yes,
about
yeah.
some
There's
things.
glimpses, like just about everybody that plays an important role in this season is at the very least in the background, even if they don't say anything. They're established. Most everybody is.
Understood. And Cindy, the alpha female
Hmm.
of the school and everything, we kind of meet her, and initially she wants to involve Courtney. If you want to be part of my crew, basically,
Yeah,
but there's some friction going on with other students that obviously kind of turns Courtney off, and she's nearly not crazy about Cindy and what she kind of like Heather's, like another callback
yeah,
as far as a trope of high school and
yeah,
classic high school,
yeah. I think
like
Courtney's. It's hard because Courtney really she finds herself an outsider. She kind of marches to the beat of her own drum, but that beat's not necessarily that like off the mainstream. She's a pretty normal kid, pretty grounded kid with some pain and struggling with some issues, but she's having a hard time just initially fitting in here because she doesn't necessarily want to be here. And she tries. One of the best things I love that Breck does is when she sits down at that table and it's quiet with those kids, and you can see the look on her face that she's like, okay, I'm going to give it a go. And she's like, so what do you guys do here? Like she's trying to reach out and trying to connect, but it's just not, she's not having the best time at it.
Well, and also the people she's trying to connect with, in some cases, obviously have their own
They have
issues
their
and
own issues.
demons.
Yeah.
Yeah, and again, in subsequent conversations about other episodes, we understand and learn a lot more
Yeah.
about that. For a lack of a better description, loser table.
Yeah. Yeah. The loser table. Yeah. I like that. The loser table.
I
Okay.
reminds me of Animal House, where hey, welcome to the fret. There's
Yeah.
Jugdish, Muhammad, Sydney, and Clayton.
Yeah. Exactly. That's it.
Good stuff, man.
Yeah.
And then, really, as the cosmic staff. Let's talk about that. I love
Sure.
how it has its own kind of artificial intelligence, or not artificial. I mean, we don't know. All we know is we get the little brief mention from Pat that it was not created
Yeah.
by Courtney's dad, but it was created by Ted Knight. But that's a story for another day.
Yep. That's in episode 2. And
Oh,
when Lee Moder and I originally started Stars and Stripe, she had the cosmic belt, right? She had the belt, that cosmic converter belt that Sylvester had, and we've streamlined it because eventually James ended Starman and had him hand over the staff to Courtney, and it was just a cleaner line for us. And I wanted to start there, and the staff is so cool; it made sense just to start with that. But the staff, as we were creating the show, and I was writing the first episode, the staff kind of just came to life, and it added a whole new dimension. And then working with Andrew and Zoic, and Walter Garcia, who was our stunt coordinator and second year director, they created this whole language for the stunts and the VFX and how the staff would work. And then Breck would react to it, and she reacts so great to it. And it became a big character. And we knew right away it was becoming a big character, and it was fun, and everyone enjoyed playing around with it. And Josh Stern, our gaffer, created this amazing light tube. The staff most of the time isn't even really there because we wanted the light to be as natural and realistic as possible. So we did similarly what we did in Wonder Woman, where she has the lasso is like this light tube, and it's replaced digitally. So it can cast that glow. We did the same kind of thing.
that's awesome. It looks great. And again, Courtney, as she gets in, kind of used to working with it and stuff, you see her with her gymnastic skills. I love that poster in her room as well. That as she was packing to move to Blue Valley, that really does kind of lay everything out. There's the awards for martial arts and gymnastics and everything.
Yeah, we did. It's tricky when you're doing these pilots. I actually like a pilot. You have to set up a lot in that these first episodes, and some of the time you end up talking too much about stuff, and so we put a lot of stuff in the background. It's better to be seen than heard sometimes, and so we tried to plan all that stuff in there and not wave a flag at it. But it helps define her for sure. It helps what Courtney's into at the very least, including a Rubik's Cube, which I like. I mean, she's a puzzle solver. She likes puzzles, but it's not solved. So she's not the best at solving puzzles sometimes.
But she's eager to try. And
That's
and again, it is that exuberance and we've got to do this kind of attitude that she has, and really is unstoppable. And it's great because really, when you think about that first episode, she's being yanked out of her, old environment and her friends. And when she's texting her friends, and anyone who had to get like uprooted can absolutely relate to that.
Yeah. And I think yeah, for sure. And I had to move from Detroit inner city to Clarkston in Michigan. And, that summer is how I got into comic books. My brother and I didn't know any kids, so we got into comic books. It's a tough move. Like, moving's tough, but Courtney, the thing I really admired about her as a character, and when you're working with her and you're breaking story and writing, is that she's so enthusiastic. She's so proactive, and she's so can do. And she's got some naive, a big naive streak in her. And I think that both serves her well and also hurts her. And I like that because she can get into trouble because of that. And I think all of us need sometimes to be a little bit naive about how things work, because you can be more idealistic that way. You can be more like, well, why can't there be X? Why can't they just do this? And the truth is they should, right? But there might be more complex reasons why they don't. And I think that's a great character trait for her. I think that's a great thing certainly to work with and watch, but it's inspiring too. Is like, I know when I was younger, I was a little bit naive and very can do. And it served me well a lot of the times, because you got into trouble, but you tried your best, and sometimes you did it. You did what they said you can't do. And I think Courtney's got that. She has enough success where people have said you can't do that, and she does it. So she keeps trying. I think that's a lot of fun. And
Absolutely.
Pat's the opposite. Pat's very cautious. He's seen a lot. He's been through a lot. He's lost a lot of people, and he's never had that voice in his ear, or that angel on his shoulder saying you can do this. Like, you can go out and do it and kick ass. And that's why I love the ending of 2, when Courtney's so exuberant, like, we took him down and we're going to take down more. And even though it was hard, and she's like, we can do this together. And Pat's like, I don't know if I can do this. And Courtney says, of course you can. And there's this look on Pat's face. First Courtney's, where she's like, what are you talking about? Yes, you can do it. And then there's this look on Pat's face where he looks at her, and you can see it means so much to him that to hear those words, and that he can do this. And he's never heard it from anybody. I don't think his dad told him. I don't think Starman really told him clearly. I don't think, and that bond there it's so much more impactful from Pat's point of view, because suddenly he has this, this energy in his life, this somebody that's believing in him and that's urging him to do more. And I don't think he's ever had that before. He's always felt a sense of responsibility and duty and wanted to do it, but he hasn't had that kind of fire that's been lit under him. And Courtney hasn't ever had like this father figure. She's kind of idolized the father figure that she didn't have, and so she's not used to having one in her life, and she's kind of covered it up with pushing herself into gymnastics or extracurricular activities. Whatever she's doing, she's masked that pain, because she's generally a happy kid, and this move's been tough on her, and she's she knows that her mom's happy and she doesn't want to mess that up. So there's all these emotions going through her, and she finally, with the staff, has what she feels like is the answer. And when she has the answer, she wants to share that, like with Pat. This is great. Like, this is great. Like, she's really gung ho about it, because she thinks she's finally put the puzzle together. The Rubik's cube is finally solved.
Well, and I also love that she might not initially, at least my perception is, think of Pat as a father, but more like, hey, you can help me. And, well, you were my dad's sidekick.
Yeah, you're basically
you can, and again, that kind of exuberance of, no, we can do this. You don't know what's inside of you. I think it is. And like you said, it is a great contrast to those final moments between Pat and Starman, where he's like, hey, I'm ready. And he's like, no, yeah, not you.
Yeah.
You can't do this.
Purposely so. And I think the fun of the fun of the show and these characters is really watching the dynamic between Courtney and Pat and this push and pull and this middle ground they're going to have to figure out as they tackle this big problem. Is that, and you'll learn more. Obviously, you learn more in 2 about why they're in Blue Valley. At least from Pat's point of view, like he was tracking the villains and he tracked them to Blue Valley, and he lost the trail. And he's never going to assume that they stayed in this small town. Like, why would they stay in a small town? He thought they moved off to Europe or who knows where. They disappeared. They vanished.
Right.
And he realizes, and when he was here doing it, he met Courtney's mother, which we see in another episode. And they decided to move back to Blue Valley, not realizing that the villains, decided to stay here for whatever reason. And they have a reason.
Yeah, it was almost like he, knowing what happened to the JSA, he moved to Blue Valley partially to pick up the trail, but also maybe to protect them from, all this stuff. And then sadly realizes, oh my God, I just made my nest in the hornet's nest.
Yeah, exactly. He didn't realize they were all here. Yeah. I mean, I really love that. And now they've got to deal with it. They have to decide what to do,
Absolutely. And so as this, let's get into episode 2. As
Sure.
The two-parter picks up, Brainwave is in the middle of a fight with Courtney, and Courtney's got all she can handle. And then, thank God, Pat shows up in the armor, and there's Stripe.
Stripe, yeah, looks beautiful.
Stripe is a beautiful thing, and again, I'm assuming that's CG.
That's partly CG and also real. This guy named Alan Scott, I think I mentioned him last time. He runs Legacy Effects up here in the Valley, and he's built all the Iron Man suits and Star Wars stuff, and he led the charge, Alan Scott. Which was kind of destiny. Alan Scott,
poetic, very poetic.
Yeah, I'm building Stripe and designing Stripe, based off Lee's initial designs from the comic, and L.J. Shannon took our super suits designer took some design, did some designs for it, and then ultimately Alan and the team over at Legacy did it and then built it. And so we have a digital Stripe and a practical Stripe, but it was really important to have a practical Stripe because it makes it feel more. For me, it was like more tactile, more real. Like we want to be as real as we possibly can be. We like our VFX to disappear as much as possible into the story. You don't want to be too shiny, and I think that it's worked. But Stripe looks really good. It looks really cool. I love that opening scene in 2. When you see her get onto Stripe and it flies for the first time, and
oh yeah,
it's pretty beautiful. I can't wait for people to see it.
Well, and again, I would imagine you and Lee had to just feel wonderful at how beautifully that was shot, because it really was at that moment your comic book come to life.
It was
that classic image of Stargirl riding Stripe. And
yeah, I sent some pictures to Lee from set, and it was pretty awesome to just talk about that. We'd worked on the book so long ago together, and I loved his work on Legion of Superheroes back in the day, which is how we hooked up into Stars and Stripe. Initially, like Phil Eminez drew like a really early Stargirl design, and then Mike Baringo did one.
Oh wow!
Yeah, and then ultimately I had those. I think Phil did one for an initial pitch, and then Mike Baringo did one. I met him. I forgot how he did one for the initial, just kind of like a springboard. And then we were looking for, an artist for the book, and Chuck Kim, my editor at the time. And we found, and I was like, what about Lee Moder? Like, I love Legion of Superheroes. It had such a great youthful energy to it. And that's how we got him. And Lee happened to love robots, big robots. So.
Oh, perfect. There you go, man. No, that's awesome. And then, first of all, so Stripe shows up and he's able to save Courtney, and we learn a bit more about Brainwave. Brainwave learns a little bit more about Courtney after their initial battle. He finds Courtney's student ID, so he knows there's a student out there that obviously has Starman's powers, and so he's hot on the trail.
Yeah.
Who plays Brainwave?
Christopher Baker. He was in Ozark. He was one of the. He's awesome, and an amazing guy. Super dedicated. He's creepy, but he. Melissa Carter, one of our EPs and writers, she worked with him on a Western she did, and he came on our radar, and I was like, I loved him in Ozark, and it was a pretty quick hire. It was like, great, he'd be perfect for Brainwave, and he looks great next to Jake Austin Walker, who plays Henry King Jr. They look like father and son. It's weird because like we were everyone on set was always like, "Oh my God, you guys actually all look related." Like Amy and Breck look like they could be, mother and daughter, and Luke and Trey looked like father and son, and Chris and Jake looked like father and son. It was a lot of fun to see them all come together, and they all developed their own like little relationship, like working relationship, personal relationship, because they liked hanging out together. Like these.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, it was really cool. But Chris is awesome. Like he did such a brilliant job at Brainwave, and Brainwave plays like, going on to this. He's not out for the count completely yet.
Yeah, right, and that is how the episode wraps. But my God, between the pilot and the second episode, he is very menacing. He's very scary.
Yeah.
When they have the open house at the high school, and he literally is snooping, nosing around, and braining around to try and find.
Yeah, that's a great one. Or Greg Beeman directed, our producing director. He's directed a bunch of stuff, TV stuff. He was on Smallville forever. He did License to Drive, one of my favorite movies from the 80s.
Sure.
But he directed episode 2, and he had this idea for that beautiful oneer that they put together in the cafeteria during open house when Brainwave's looking around. And he just did such a great job directing that episode. Greg really did.
And we get the sense again of the culture of the high school, how it is infected by the American dream, and the more we get into it, obviously something's going on. And it's great too that Barbara is obviously, it's a new job, and she kind of just finds herself, kind of responding to the American dream. It happens more in episode 3, obviously, too.
Yeah, Barbara, like she plays her role gets bigger and bigger as the season goes. I don't want to spoil anything, but and Amy plays it brilliantly. But yeah, she does have a connection that you'll see more of as we go in the series. I don't want to spoil anything past 2 right now.
Yeah, I'm with you, man. I watched them all in a big clump, so yeah, sometimes I might.
I know. Sometimes I know. Trust me, I'm like sometimes like that was episode 3, right? And they're like, no, that was episode 8. I was like, oh.
So, but also, Pat explains that Brainwave, is involved, but really, Icicle is the IJS's. Do you guys call it the IJA? Excuse me.
We call it the ISA, Injustice Society of America. Yeah,
okay, sure.
But he is their lead. He's their leader essentially. He is the one, the ringmaster, on a lot of levels, and clearly we see him at the end, treated like the leader he is, and he's come back from some place that he was. We'll learn more about where he goes, these trips he takes randomly. He takes these trips out there and he comes back, days, weeks later. Icicle, he's played by Neil Jackson, who is fantastic. I've known him forever. And I'm excited for people to see, more to Icicle, to that character in episode 3. There's a lot more to him coming up.
Pretty scary stuff, yes, and we'll talk about that when we.
Yeah, John, it's a balance of it's tricky because you want to show that is for families and is fun and it has the tone of Stargirl and JSA and it's colorful and it's bright and positive and like can-do attitude and funny, but at the same time, I really I think it's important you have stakes, and we all wanted stakes to this too. Like the villains need to be villainous, they need to be scary, they need to be real threats. Like if we want the emotional weight to feel real and matter, then the threats have to be real and matter too. And when I was a kid, it was fun to be a little scared once in a while when I was watching stuff. I like to be a little bit like, almost like, do I cover my eyes or not? Like you just want to ride that edge of, of how creepy you can get, but not like, certainly we're not gory and we don't get into overtly adult, topics or visually or anything like that. But we want the villains to be truly frightening.
Yeah, and they are. They're menacing, and also just how casual they are in their civilian guise. And I love seeing them either in the scenes in the pilot, but also subsequent images of them in their full costume garb or all powered up and stuff like that. But they also can project that covert menace when they're,
It's cool that they have secret identities.
Yes, literally. Exactly. Absolutely, man. Also, after the first battle, I love Pat taking the armor out and basically, kind of testing it and everything.
Oh yeah. That's one of my favorite scenes. Luke actually, there was a different song that I was going to use for that scene, and Luke actually pitched the Johnny Cash One Piece at a Time. and it's perfect. It's like tonally perfect. The lyrics are hilarious. It's like I listen to that song all the time now when I write. It's a really great song, and Johnny Cash is very Pat Dugan. Like it felt right. But that's one of my favorite scenes. I also liked the scene when Courtney's sewing her costume and tearing through the home ec room and just destroying it all. It's just fun. It's again fun. Like we don't usually see that. Like we wanted to do scenes that we know they get costumes, but like let's turn it on its head a little bit.
Well, yeah, and I know, and it was great, and I really love her too, trying to just conventionally try to sew with it and stuff, and finally having to use the big paper cutter and stuff to really cut the material. That was awesome. But yeah, and really, Geoff, let's talk about the music, because there's a lot of I know the old-fashioned film term was source music, but original hits.
Yeah, needle drops. Yeah.
Yeah, needle drops. Thank you. Okay, there you go.
Yeah.
Thank you for bringing me in the 21st century. I appreciate it.
Well, I don't know if that's the 21st century. I might be in the 1950s for all I know.
Actually, you're right, because a record player. But
who knows? But music's really important. Pinar Toprak did the score. She did Captain Marvel, Krypton. She's an amazing composer, and she did a lot of great interviews about what her approach was to the music and everything. But she was fantastic. She brought that classic, Back to the Future-esque, superhero vibe to it. To the the feel to the whole show, and then all the needle drops. A lot of them were in the scripts when we were writing them. Some of them came from the editorial team, from the music team, from the actors. Like they kind of came from everywhere. But the songs that we we're very particular about what songs dropped in. There's we want the Stargirl playlist to be a really fun, cool playlist. And some songs awesome. People have heard, and some haven't. No, some they haven't.
That can get really expensive too, but I'm assuming, I don't know if that's from the Warner catalog or
it can get expensive. I mean, we have a budget just like everybody else, and we just we try and we spend it where we think it's worth the money and the songs. But music's so important. Pinar had a live orchestra, and it made a big difference. Like,
oh wow,
it really does. It really does change how the show feels.
Understood, and that's interesting too, because I think a lot of times when people are scoring music these days, sometimes it is all, just the composer with a synth or whatever putting something together. So it's interesting to hear she really does have the full orchestra behind her and stuff. That's amazing.
Yeah. It was so fun to watch too. I mean, we went, Breck and I went on stage. It was a Clint Eastwood stage at Warner Brothers lot for the final episode. And it was amazing to be there with Pinar and Shai and just watch this happen. They're just geniuses. Pinar's a genius.
Understood, dude. Right now I'm blanking on which film director always said, 1,000 things have to go right to make something.
It does. I mean, I would say it's a recipe. Like comics, it's when I work with Gary Frank, you have like this sense of you have a collaboration, a really tight collaboration, and then when you start to do something in TV, you just have so many people that are a part of the recipe, and everybody. Like when you work with most passionate people on the planet, like Pinar and James Robinson and Melissa Carter and Greg Berlanti and all these people that they care so much. Glenn Winter, who did our pilot, Greg Beeman, who directed too, like I was saying, all these people that put so much of their heart and soul into it. Josh Stern, he worked hours on making sure that the staff would work. It was remote control. It was active. It could light up on one end, get brighter, dimmer. It was amazing the amount of time he put into it because he cared so much. He wanted it to be great.
It shines through in every facet of the show. I love too after Pat's messing around with the armor and stuff. Of course, now he's got to get back in shape, so he takes Crusher up on his offer and stuff and hits the gym.
Yes, I love that too. It's very fun. Very fun. I love Crusher. Crusher's a great character. Neil Hopkins plays him, and he's hilarious, and he has the energy that Crusher has off camera too, which is so fun. Whenever he's around on set, you just you're energized. You're ready to do 100 push-ups. You just, he's right there.
Well, and then Pat feels again that Courtney maybe isn't ready to face Brainwave and stuff, and he's like, "Hey, I got this."
Yeah, I mean that's
everything.
Yeah, at the end of the day, Pat takes responsibility for it and basically is like, "Look, if I'm not back, get out of here." I love him for that.
Yeah, and it's a great fight scene. But then again, we're shown that they need each other. Courtney and Pat absolutely need each other.
Yeah, that fight well together. That fight scene's pretty epic. For television, I just think it's it's really fun. I hope people dig it when they see it or have seen it, I guess, because this is post episode 2.
Post episode 2. So yeah, it's no, it's great and very exciting. And like you said it earlier that we realized that the staff was created by Ted Knight. And,
Yeah. Oh yeah, that was it's interesting, John, because sorry to interrupt you so much.
Not at all.
But it's like
you've got the knowledge, dude. This is
I
about you.
I get excited about it, but like it's interesting because that line, it's in the script and we shot it, and I almost cut it out because it is such a like it's more information that you don't necessarily need to know in the moment, but it was so important to get it in there because for the hardcore fans like myself and you and James and everybody else that knows and loves these characters and loves Starman, the legacy of Starman, it was really important for us to acknowledge that the legacy of Starman is alive and well. And because it's such an important part and a great part of the universe that we can explore at some point. So, I left the line in. We left the line in, and I'm glad we did. It's a really important. It's just an important it's almost like looking over and seeing a doorway, and knowing that doorway is there. You don't have to open the door yet, but the doorway is there, and that happens throughout the season. Is that some doors we show and walk through, and some doors we just show. Because there are doors we could walk through at any moment.
That's what's exciting. I really, and again, when you think of episodes 1 and 2, that there are a lot of Easter eggs and symbols, and even the fall of the JSA, and you see the Jake Eric helmet on the floor.
Yeah.
It's but you don't see the Flash, so you don't know what happened.
It's funny. Everyone catches that Jake Garrick helmet, and they miss Sandman, who's on the stairs, like with the gas mask and everything. Like it's
right.
A lot of people are like, "Oh my God, there's Jay Garrick's helmet," and then you're like, but they miss Sandman's a little darker, so he kind of bleeds in there. And Green Lantern, we see him get thrown out of the building in the opening of the pilot, and his fires everywhere, which I like. All that green fires from Green Lantern, but more on that stuff later too.
Understand. Well, and again, that's kind of I assume, again, without spoiling, and really based on the episodes I've seen so far, I assume there are going to be more flashback scenes, and maybe we will see glimpses of the Justice Society or civilian members.
We don't really have a lot of flashback scenes. There's a couple coming up, but not a ton. But there's some other things that I don't want to get into yet. There's some things that are, we do some pretty deep cuts into DC mythology that I think fans like us will dig, but that are also about story. Like what we wanted to do is never not mention Ted Knight as a throwaway, like an Easter egg. It's not an Easter egg. Like everything we mention, everything we show, everything we refer to is because we have a story to tell about it. And that's, from seeing Solomon Grundy, and there's much more to come with him and his impact on the JSA and on the new JSA. But everything we try to make everything matter, and everything again be a pathway to story, and not just like oh look, you just saw this. It's fun to always see that stuff, but we also want to make sure that we have a story behind it.
Well, and not a scene is wasted, Geoff, honestly, in both, really all the episodes that I've seen so far. And I think that's great too. And again, clearly that writer's room and what you guys put together and whatever is the final decisions as you film and edit, they're jam-packed. There is a lot of information that is conveyed in the first 2 episodes in particular. But again, it's all necessary. It's great backstory and everything. And yeah, there's no bullshit scenes. I think that's great.
I'm glad you feel that way. We try our best, and it's always a learning curve, and we just wanted the show to get better and better and better, and I think it does. And I'm excited that people are giving it a chance and are enjoying it and having fun with it, because that's what the show is designed to do, is have fun with. It's a fun ride into the golden age and bringing the golden age to the present. But yeah, we try. We had a great writers' room. Excellent writers, they wrote wonderful scripts, and we broke some stories that we all felt really passionate about. But yeah, I'm glad you like it so far, and fingers crossed everybody else does too.
Thanks again for watching another Word Balloon video. We've got plenty more at our channel, Word Balloon. If you enjoyed it, please like it and consider subscribing to the channel. And of course, support me on Patreon, patreon.com/wordballoon. Thanks a lot for watching.